Okay, so we've got a ton of info here about this group TATANKA. And it's all about how AI is being used in Mauritius, but not really in the way you might think, you know. It's not all like self-driving cars and robots, right? This is more about something they call AI for all. And they have a website and these study guides we've been looking at. And they paint a pretty fascinating picture, I gotta say.
Yeah, what's really cool is how they're kind of flipping the traditional AI research model on its head. Like usually you think of, you know, big tech companies hoarding all the data, the algorithms, all that. But Tatanka is putting it all out there, totally open source. Anyone can use it.
That's wild. So, like, anyone in Mauritius with a laptop can have the same tools as, like, Google?
Exactly. It's like they're saying, hey, everyone can be a part of this, you know? The AI revolution.
Well, I love that. But it's one thing to say that, but how are they actually making it happen?
Well, they've got this really user-friendly AI model training platform. You don't need to be like a coding whiz to use it. I mean, they're making it possible for people with pretty basic coding skills, even students, to build and experiment with AI.
See, this is what gets me excited. It's like,
Yeah.
it's more than just talk. They're putting their money where their mouth is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was reading about this woman, 𝗧𝗕𝗓𝗓. Her story is in one of these TATANKA pamphlets. And she learned about AI through their program and ended up creating this thing called
Safer harvest.
oh, yeah, Safer Harvest. That's a great example. So she's using machine learning algorithms to analyze weather patterns. And that helps the farmers in her village make better decisions about planting and harvesting. I mean, it's a perfect example of how open access can lead to really practical innovations.
It's like they're not just building these fancy systems. It's about giving people the tools to solve real problems, right? And the fact that 𝗧𝗧𝗓𝗓, someone from a small village, could do this, it says a lot about their approach. For sure. And it's not just about individuals either. Tatanka is building a whole community around this. Like they have these online forums, collaborative spaces where people share code, data sets, ideas. It's like I don't know, a hive mind for AI development.
That's amazing. And anyone can just, like, download their code libraries, see how everything works.
Exactly. It's like throwing open the doors to the lab and saying, come on in, let's figure this out together.
I love that. And this open source thing, it seems like it really changes things, right?
Oh, absolutely. It leads to faster progress, more creative solutions. You've got people from all different backgrounds coming together to work on the same problems. It's a total 180 from how it used to be, when all the knowledge was locked up in these like ivory towers.
I was also really impressed with how they emphasize education. They're not just giving people tools, they're also offering workshops, training, mentorship, so people actually know how to use this stuff.
Right, and that's so important for sustainability. It's not just about the immediate impact. They're trying to build a long-term AI ecosystem in Mauritius by training the next generation, you know?
Yeah, it's like they're laying the groundwork for a future where AI is just a normal part of life there, not some like mysterious thing that only happens in labs.
Exactly. And they're doing it in a way that feels accessible, you know, collaborative, focused on empowering people. It's a model that could work anywhere, really.
That's a really interesting thought. If it can work in Mauritius, could other countries, even ones without a lot of resources, do the same thing?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, what if everyone had access to this stuff? Not just the, you know, the big companies and researchers.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea for sure. And what I found really interesting was their focus on being inclusive, especially their work supporting women in tech. They have all these workshops, mentorship programs, specifically designed to, close the gender gap in AI.
Yeah, and that's so crucial, right? You can't build a truly innovative system without having a diverse range of voices at the table.
It's like they're saying, we need everyone's ideas, everyone's perspectives to make this work.
Exactly. And that's reflected in their approach to everything, from the design of their platform to the way they structure their educational programs.
And speaking of which, I keep thinking back to 𝗧𝗧𝗓𝗓's story. Not only did she create this amazing tool for her community, but now she's also a mentor, inspiring other women to get involved in AI.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like a ripple effect, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it just shows when you break down those barriers, when you give people access to the right resources, they can do incredible things.
It really challenges the assumption that AI is this, like, exclusive club, you know?
Yeah.
That you need a certain degree or background to participate.
We always talk about AI changing the world, but maybe the real revolution is happening on a much smaller scale, like individual people using AI to make a difference in their own communities.
That's a great point. It's about democratizing not just the tech, but the power to shape it, you know?
So it's not just about
Right.
like what AI can do for us. It's about what we can do with it. And you mentioned this idea of a global AI ecosystem. What do you think that would look like in reality?
Well, imagine a world where everyone was sharing their code, their data, where people were collaborating on projects across borders.
Hmm.
A farmer in Mauritius working with a researcher in France to solve a common problem.
That's a pretty amazing thought. But of course, there are challenges, right? Like, what about the ethical side of things? If anyone can access these tools, couldn't they be used for harmful purposes too?
That's a really important point, and it's something that TATANKA is very aware of. It's not just about making AI accessible, it's about making sure it's used responsibly.
So it's like education plays a huge role here.
Absolutely. We need to equip people with the technical skills, but also with a deep understanding of the ethical implications.
We can't just focus on the how. We also need to think about the why.
That's exactly right.
It's like we need a two-pronged approach.
On one hand, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, but at the same time, making sure we're using this technology for good.
And maybe that's where TATANKA really shines. It's not just about the tools. It's about the community they're building, the culture of learning and collaboration.
That's responsibility, right?
Exactly. They're showing that you can embrace this technology
Right.
without losing sight of the human element.
It's a powerful message for sure.
So we've talked about the good and the bad. But what about the long-term outlook? Can a model like this really be sustainable? Or is it just a flash in the pan?
That's the big question, right? Can they keep this going?
Yeah, it's exciting to think about the possibilities. But AI moves so fast. How can they make sure this isn't just a fad?
Well, sustainability is always a challenge, especially in a field like AI, which is constantly changing.
Right, like what's groundbreaking today might be old news tomorrow.
Exactly. So they need to be able to adapt.
So how do they do that?
Well, one thing I noticed in their materials is this real focus on continuous learning. They're not just teaching people how to use today's tools. It's more about instilling this mindset of always learning, always growing.
So it's not just about keeping up with the tech. It's about being able to learn anything new, adapt to anything new.
Exactly. And you see that in their training programs. They emphasize critical thinking, problem solving, not just, memorizing code.
So it's about empowering people to be more than just users.
Right. It's about making them active participants in the evolution of AI.
That's really cool. And what else? What else helps them stay sustainable?
Partnerships. They're big on collaboration. They work with universities, research institutions, even private companies.
Oh, so they're not trying to do it all themselves.
Nope. They're tapping into all these different networks to share knowledge, get new perspectives.
It's smart. It's like they've created this constantly evolving system that can keep pace with whatever comes next.
And that's how they stay ahead of the curve.
It's pretty inspiring, honestly, to see a small island nation like Mauritius really taking the lead in shaping the future of AI.
It really flips the script on how we think about innovation. It's not just happening in Silicon Valley anymore.
Exactly. It shows that with the right approach. Anyone can be a part of this.
And that's a powerful message, right?
It makes you wonder, what other amazing things are happening out there in places we might not expect?
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who's feeling inspired by all of this, just remember, the tools for AI are out there. Whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, or just curious, you can start exploring this stuff today.
That's a great point. So to wrap things up, I want to leave everyone with this thought. What could you do with the power of AI? Maybe it's time to find out. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.